Hello, friend. Joe at the office here. Today I want to start a series. So this will be part one of the series and the importance of creating a Microsoft Access personalized template. This tutorial will examine template settings and standardization of the application configuration. So let's first start by creating an Access database. Completely blank. We'll just put it right here on our desktop. Create. And let's take a look at the options. Options. So the general options, this is how your application will work on your PC or Mac. In general, the file format the database will save in, where the default location for saving is, who you are, also the theme, and I use Circuit. You can see there's maybe some Circuit themed design on this, and also I use black because it's easier for me to see, and I think it just looks cool. So in your template, you don't really have to change any of these. Always make sure that you're on the latest version of Access, unless there's a special reason not to be. Under the current database, these are the settings that are going to permeate through all the applications that you create based on this template. So, title, I usually do something like exclamation point to make sure it's always sorted at the top of any file system, template, underscore, and then my initials. We won't do an icon right now because I really believe that each application that you design, that I design, should have its own icon, its own specific icon, not just in the application, but also on the forms and reports. And also in the shortcut, if you're going to put a shortcut on somebody's desktop, you want it to match what the application icon is. So display form, we're going to leave it at none right now. But typically, we don't have one yet. We don't have any forms. We don't have any objects in this database yet, so we couldn't choose anything if we wanted to. In the future, you will most likely have a standard main form that you want to open with the application. The document window options is the next one we look at. I truly like the tab forms. I truly like the overlapping forms. That gives me a little bit more control. And there are a lot more reasons. We'll discuss this when implementing the main form. So choose that. We always want to compact on close. I haven't come across a reason not to do this, especially when you're developing a database. You want to make sure you compact the database on close, and what that does is it clears out record holders, data holders that are in the database, and can grow the database if you don't compact it. So if you add a bunch of tables, or you have tables and you add a bunch of data, and then you delete that data, and then you add more data, it'll hold space for all that data that you had, even if it's deleted, unless you compact on close. Enable layout view. I disable this. I do not like it. I don't like the restrictions in place while working in layout view, and I absolutely prefer design view for greater control. Display navigation pane. So leave this checked for now. We'll most likely control this with VBA later, but we typically need this open while developing applications. F11, we will usually open the pane if it's closed. Also, the navigation options button has some important options for advanced use, and we'll definitely touch on these later. So the rest of these really touch on the ribbon. If you are having a specific ribbon or toolbar you want to choose, allow full menus. We'll set these later with VBA. And The rest of these are, I just leave them as the default. They don't really have much to do with what we're working on now. So data sheet. This is how tables are viewed in your application. So it's the look and the feel of the tables in your database and your users' applications. These settings should be based on how you like to view tables, because good database development dictates that end users are never to see tables. So this wouldn't matter to them in the long run. Object designers. So it's the same type of thing for queries and forms and reports. If you want a different font, if you want, if you were to use a template, but we're not going to do that. We're going to create our own that we'll be able to use. The rest of these really can stay defaults. Same with proofing. I just leave this as default. Really nothing big here. Language, of course, we'll leave. All right, client settings. So you need to review these so you understand what each option does. But the important ones are under the confirm section, these three. I always make sure that these are unchecked because I don't want my end users making decisions on how changes, deletions, and queries happen in the final application. I manage these in code as well. So we'll get into it when we create our declarations module, but I definitely set these defaults in every application that I use, and we'll set it in the auto exec. These particular ones can also be controlled with GPO. If you have an IT system administrator who manages GPO, these can be set across the board, so you won't have to go and make sure that users have them in their individual applications, because sometimes with an Office upgrade, and this has happened, these boxes get checked after an upgrade. So you want to make sure that every time you open your database, these are set defaults. In general, all of these are important. Control the way the cursor moves, control left to right, general alignment, that sort of thing. So look at them, but leave most of them as the default value. And there's quite a bit actually. But unless I have a very specific reason to change any of this, like this one, I leave these as default. But as you're developing your database, there may need to be some changes specific to that database or application. So customizing the ribbon, we're not going to change anything here right now. As we get into further development of a template, we may decide to only give users access to a few specific commands, some that we write, some that are in here, because that's how we want them to use it, like print and other things. Although I do like to use create my own command buttons for tasks that are in here and not even show the ribbon at all. It gives the user more screen space and also controls more of their actions inside the application. Kind of the same thing with the quick access toolbar. We'll lock these down once we create our auto exec in the next, probably in the next part of the series. Add-ins, we don't add anything right now unless you have a specific reason to add something in an application. We don't use this much. The Trust Center. So if you go to the Trust Center and the Trust Center settings, something that's very important here is the macro settings, because we will be developing VBA, creating macros that need to run on open of the database, on open of a form, during a click event. So it's very important that enable all macros is chosen here, is the radio button that's chosen here. This can also be set in a GPO by an IT system administrator. So make sure that that is chosen. There's little else here that we need to look at. Everything is the default value. Again, it's the default value right now for our template. In a specific application, we may need to touch on something. So that's it for settings, options, and configurations. Of course, I changed some things, so I'd have to close it and open it. We'll just close it. So over the next few videos, I'll continue to help you create your own customized Microsoft Access template that will lend itself to your professional success. Please like and subscribe to the channel so I can determine if this format is helping people. And please leave a comment on how I can improve your experience. Thank you for watching.